As you look around your own life, could it be that you just seem to see the shattered dreams that never were? And you just see the consequences of so many bad decisions. Relationships are in a mess. Maybe your finances are in a mess. Maybe your health is in a mess. Maybe your conscience plagues you. Maybe you are bound by certain habits or certain addictions. Maybe you look around your life and you just think, how on earth did I get here? And you can't get too angry with God, because as you look back on your life, if you're humble, maybe you're willing to admit it's been your own doing. You have sinned. And now you're in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 50s, in your 60s or 70s. And you just think, man, I shut my ears for so long, and it's like I've just been running in this destructive path, and I just for a second just stop and look around me, and it's almost too painful to see what has become of your life. Well, I have some good news for you this morning. It is never too late for God to restore, for God to have mercy. He is still on his throne. Now that's what we see this morning in this prayer of Jeremiah. I'm going to read it to you. We'll work through it as thoughts come to my mind. This is Jeremiah's final word to the world after his massive ministry of frustration, and then actually having seen with his eyes, as he's going to describe this morning in the prayer, the brutality of what eventually happened to Jerusalem. After generations of turning their back on God, eventually their sin caught up with them. And then it was very real. And then we're going to hear his final cry, where there is this note of hope and faith in great humility that God will restore. Okay, let's read it together. Remember, O Lord, what has come upon us. Look and behold our reproach. Our inheritance has been turned over to aliens, and our houses to foreigners. We have become orphans and waifs. Our mothers are like widows. We pay for the water we drink, and our wood comes at a price. They pursue at our heels. We labor and have no rest. We have given our hand to the Egyptians and the Assyrians to be satisfied with bread. Our fathers sinned and are no more, but we bear their iniquities. Now, I want to just comment on that. This is not talking about some generational curse, which does not exist, by the way. There is no such thing defined by how the charismatic movement like to tell everybody there's generational curses on you because your great-great-grandfather was a Freemason and you now need to repent of it. That's complete nonsense. This is speaking in most practical terms. Their fathers had sinned, turned their back on God, and God eventually gave the city over. And now they were living in exile, in poverty, working as slaves. And that is true. That still happens today. We live lives, we are born into certain socio-economic conditions based on what our forefathers did. And yet God can lift you up. He can give you meaning. He can give you hope, no matter what your birth circumstances were. Servants rule over us. There is none to deliver us from their hand. We get our bread at the risk of our lives because of the sword in the wilderness. Our skin is hot as an oven because of the fever of famine. They ravished the women in Zion, the maidens in the cities of Judah. Princes were hung up by their hands, and elders were not respected. Young men ground at the millstones, boys staggered under loads of wood. The elders have ceased gathering at the gate, and the young men from their music. The joy of our heart has ceased. Our dance has turned into mourning. The crown has fallen from our head. Woe to us, for we have sinned. And I'm not saying that this certainly applies to everyone who watches this video, but it might be that if you were honest that this would be the prayer of your heart, my joy has been turned into mourning. I have lost the joy of life. And if I'm honest, it's because I've sinned. If that's the case, my friend, the best thing you can do is just admit it. Let Jeremiah's prayer be your prayer. Pour your heart out in honesty, in truth, in humility to God. Because listen to where he gets now. Because of this our heart is faint, because of these things our eyes grow dim, because of Mount Zion which is desolate, with foxes walking about on it. You, O Lord, remain forever. Your throne from generation to generation. Why do you forget us forever and forsake us for so long a time? Turn us back to you, O Lord, and we will be restored. Renew our days as of old, unless you've utterly rejected us and are very angry with us. And Jeremiah knew God had not utterly rejected them. He himself had prophesied it's going to be 70 years and God is going to restore. Listen to me, my friend. I don't care how devastating the dissolution of your life has been. I don't care how far you've fallen. I don't care if you don't have a rag to put on your back and you're living on the street. I don't care. If you will turn back to God, He is the one who can restore. Bring all of your humility, bring all of your heartbreak, bring all of your pain, bring the complete devastation of your life to God and ask Him to restore you. And He will. God is a God of mercy. God is a God of restitution, of reconciliation, of forgiveness of sin. He is the only one who can restore, and He is the one who can restore. His arm is not shortened that it cannot save. And that's the other problem with this generational cursed, stupid teaching, as if there is something that has a power over you that is outside of God's control. Listen, God is the one who decides what happens to you, nobody else. Cast your lot in with Him. Come humbly if you need to. Repent of sin. Ask Him to restore you, and He will, because He is the God of the prodigal son. He loves. And if there is still breath in your lungs, my friend, that breath is a gift from God to be used for a repentant, humble prayer. That's what you need to use the breath for that He's given you. And I will pray with you that God will restore.